What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. We appreciate you guys jumping on early with us on this beautiful Monday as we prepare to head to Indianapolis and take on the 2026 NFL Combine. We're diving into another quarterback trade possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one that has been floated out throughout the weekend, gained plenty of traction. A name on the Steelers that personally makes a lot of sense for them to work on early instead of late. We'll dive into that. And then before we get to Indy, what we're watching for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a snowy one here in the Berg. I'm so excited to leave. I don't know if you looked at the forecast, but it's supposed to snow pretty much every day that we're gone. So shout out to the city of Pittsburgh. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling ready to depart the snow, as you just mentioned there. I'm ready to get the hell out of Dodge, as they say. But no, I'm pumped to get to Indy, pumped to check out the draft combine, pumped to check out all of these prospects and which ones the Steelers might be dipping their toes in the water in, so to speak. And I'm pumped, man. So yeah, plenty of excitement here on a Monday morning, and I am being fueled by lots of caffeine because this is just not quite when we do this thing usually.
I felt the same way. Got in the shower this morning at about 7:15 and went, wow, dude, it's been a long time since I have taken my sleeping sweatshirt off and put my normal sweatshirt on this early in the morning many moons ago. Shout out to you guys. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. Let's start with the quarterback position. Over the weekend, Bleacher Report tossed out a trade that they would like to see every single team make. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's to go get a quarterback, Mac Jones, from the San Francisco 49ers. And in exchange, they want to send Nick Herbig to the NFC West. As they look for a replacement for Aaron Rodgers, a potential backup to Aaron Rodgers. I'll start by saying this because I have a feeling of where this conversation is going to go, but I also want to acknowledge that this one is significantly better than the last one. Okay. The Nick Herbig for the Tanner McKee thing was probably the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. And I grew up in an Italian town where most times when people were talking, you didn't really know what was coming out of their mouth. And it didn't really make much sense when you did. This one's better. This one's certainly better. Mac Jones for Nick Herbig. I could see it working. I could honestly see the San Francisco 49ers being very willing to make this trade happen. And on the other side of it, I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers being open to making the trade happen as well. If they view this and say Alex Highsmith is a name that we are going to keep, and I'm not justifying it. I'm just laying out, maybe how I could see the Steelers viewing this situation if San Francisco called. If they said Alex Highsmith's coming back, we still have a lot of faith in TJ Watt. Jack Sawyer looked really good, and we're heading into free agency where we could find another Nick Herbig. We could find another third round pick in the NFL draft and go after them to be an edge rusher. We're okay in that ballpark. What we need is a backup quarterback with a lot of potential who can learn behind Aaron Rodgers, because again, you have to make it realistic. Realistically, the Steelers are looking at it as if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones could be a name that excites them. Certainly. Will it happen or would it happen? I don't know. Does it make sense? I'll ask you that question. Nick Herbig for Mac Jones. What's your thoughts on this one?
It makes a ton of sense for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, let's be pretty blunt about this. They were a mediocre pass rushing team in 2025, and they still found success despite that. So I imagine, being on the opposite side of the continental United States from San Francisco here, that they are trying to improve their pass rush. So I think while they are very hesitant to trade Mac Jones, or at least that's what they've put out in the media, I imagine addressing a huge hole in their lineup like the pass rush would make this trade make a ton of sense from San Francisco's point of view. From the Steelers side, I'm understand it makes sense on a fundamental level, right? Like they need a quarterback. this is the main position of strength and surplus, let's call it.
Yeah.
This is probably the route to address getting that franchise quarterback, or maybe that guy who, as you outlined, has the potential to maybe be that if he is in the right environment, in the right time and place. I just do not think the value is anywhere close to being equal. So it doesn't make any sort of sense for me, because I view Nick Herbig, and plus they also in this proposed trade have a sixth round pick going to the San Francisco 49ers. And I would imagine, if anything, it needs to be the other way around. It has to be Mac Jones plus a draft pick that is absolutely higher than a sixth round pick going to Pittsburgh in order to acquire Nick Herbig going back. So it doesn't make a ton of sense for me from the Steelers side of things. From San Francisco, if you could swing this, you crushed it, in my opinion. But man, if you're going to do this trade, I don't think it needs to be Nick Herbig going the other way. Maybe Alex Highsmith I'm okay with in some capacity, but I just think you are giving up too early and not getting enough value in return for Herbig.
Would you go Alex Highsmith? Would Alex Highsmith for Mac Jones get the job done for you?
Well, again, if there was a draft pick coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers,
fifth round pick, Mac Jones, a fifth round pick, and Alex Highsmith. I don't think you'd get more than that. That's why I'm just tossing out a fifth. I'm not trying to make a real. I think that's I don't think they'd be sitting there going Mac Jones in a second. That sounds about good. They're gonna love
right. Of course. I wouldn't imagine there would be anything higher than a fourth round pick involved, but at least with Alex Highsmith, I'm a little bit more ready to pull the trigger, because there's, you have to, at that point you've chosen, you have Nick Herbig. You're like, we're going to stick with him. We're going to probably work out an extension that pays him a similar amount of money. We have these other key defenders who need to have their contracts extended soon. I think that at that point, I understand the logic. It might not be the best trade on paper, but at least with Alex Highsmith, I'm a little bit more open to this conversation. At the end of the day, I don't think this is a good trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers, period. I think you have to use, if there's one route to getting a quarterback for the 2026 season, use your 12 draft picks only and make something happen there. Other than that, I'm just not really into this trade proposal.
I agree. And I think it's kind of weird that constantly people are tossing out Nick Herbig or all this instead of draft picks. Like, why all these analysts are sitting around going, Steelers are they're not gonna give up one of their 12 draft picks to make a trade. That's not gonna happen. Why would they do that? They're gonna use all 12 of them. It's very strange to me. How many offers do you think the Steelers get heavy offers on Nick Herbig this season?
Oh my gosh, offseason? Yes. Absent of knowing, the specific details and how many offers versus phone calls, but the absolutely 100%, there's going to be a ton of interest if there's not already conversations happening. As soon as that new league year window opens, Nick Herbig is going to be a player that many teams covet for the exact same reason that the San Francisco 49ers find themselves in. Their pass rush isn't that good, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have plenty of players that might just be on the table for the right price. So I anticipate Omar Khan's getting a ton of calls, ton of conversations surrounding Nick Herbig and what their plans are with him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's transition here. Joey Porter Jr. is probably the first name that gets an extension from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to lay out a pitch to you real fast here, and my pitch is very simple. Legal tampering period begins March 9th. The Pittsburgh Steelers should have a deal in place with Joey Porter Jr. before March 9th and that legal tampering period, and I'll tell you why. Let's go through the list here of people who are going to sign 4 big contracts. Jamal Dean, market value, $12.4 million. Eric Stokes, who is not that good, $7.3 million. Greg Newsome, $9 million. Roger McCreary, who's not even that good, $6.1 million. Josh Joby, 9.7. Alante Taylor, $11.1 million. Cam Taylor Britt, $9.1 million. Cordero Flott, $9.5 million. The list goes on and on and on and on. I'm going to tell you this. Nahshon Wright, $16.6 million market value. If the Steelers wait for the first person to be signed off free agency, which will be a big name, it will not be a nobody. It's never the smallest name out there that gets signed first. Nope. It's Nahshon Wright getting a ridiculous contract because him and his agent have quietly been working on this deal for weeks before free agency opened up. The second that happens, Joey Porter Jr.'s contract increases pretty significantly. And we're talking a $15 to $20 million range right now for Joey Porter Jr. until Nahshon Wright signs a $22 million deal, until Jamal Dean signs an $18 million deal as a 29-year-old, until something crazy happens. I made this argument with Pat Fryermuth a couple of years ago. The way I look at it is really simple. You get ahead of the curve and you save money every single time, and that player's never upset. The player is never angry that they just got a new extension before everybody else got paid. That's just never the case. In 3 years, they want a new deal because they'll look at it and say, I've been underpaid, for 3 years. That's great. But in the moment, for 2 years, you got nothing to worry about. Save yourself, honestly, somewhere between $5 and $7 million a year if you were the Pittsburgh Steelers. Get it done early. This isn't a conversation that the Steelers need to have in terms of if they're going to sign Joey Porter Jr. I mean, people riot in the streets if you let that guy go right now. He's the first real stud star corner that you guys have found in a long time. Joe Hayden. Remember that name? Yeah, that was the last great corner the Pittsburgh Steelers had, and they got him at 28 years old, 29 years old. There's just it hasn't happened. Take Joey, sign him now, save yourself money. Even if you sign him for $20 million a year, you are going to end up saving so much because you have to look at guaranteed money, the length of the contract, so on and so forth. You wait it out. Again, very simply, the cornerback market in the NFL right now is too deep. There are too many names out there. The free agency class is too strong. And if you wait, these guys are going to sign for big money. And Joey's going to be looking at it going, that's the contract value right now. You just did this with TJ. Learn from your mistakes. Sign him early. In my head, this is not last year, which I'll add that part as well. Last year, you talked about TJ and all these other names. And at the end of it all, the Steelers constantly had the same excuse. Well, we don't know what our quarterback situation is going to be, so we can't, we can't go sign this guy or extend this guy because we have to understand what the quarterback's going to look like. And we don't have that much cap space. Steelers have a boatload of cap space. They know what the quarterback situation is going to be, and they're going to know by March 9th. Go sign Joey Porter Jr. Don't worry about it and make him your top priority. I think it should happen before March 8th. What's your thoughts?
I agree and disagree with this. I agree with the overall assessment of the cornerback depth here in the free agency class. It's absurd. I wrote a story about Cordell Flott specifically, and the depth in general and how many cornerback 2 options there are for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I also agree that Joey Porter Jr. needs to have an extension in place very soon. And I have said for weeks now that $20 million average salary is probably the ideal mark to get him at. I do not think you have to make sure that happens or that deal is in place and signed in concordance with free agency opening. I think while I am a big fan of this cornerback class in free agency, I think the highest average annual value that we will see a player sign for is maybe $20 million. Last year was $18 million with Byron Murphy with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not saying that it can't exceed that number, but when I look at players that are comparable, as much as I love a Nahshon Wright, we just talked about him the other day, as much as I love someone like a Jamal Dean or a Jalen Watson and the possibility of adding a very productive ball player alongside Joey Porter Jr., I think this could help the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think whenever someone like a Nahshon Wright comes in and signs at maybe an $18 million average salary or $19 million, I think then you can immediately go to Joey Porter and say, hey, here's your 20 mil. Here's your 4-year deal, whatever it is. Here's your guaranteed money. And now we have great comparables. I do 100% see, Joey Porter Jr.'s ceiling as being higher just because he's 25 years old, right? He has a couple extra years to play compared to a lot of these guys who are 27, 28 years old as they're about to hit free agency. I think that he also has I think the Steelers have very little to worry about, at least by my
Yeah.
estimation, even with the talent in this class of the numbers getting out of hand in free agency, which would then derail a Joey Porter Jr. extension. I think regardless of how this turns out, and there could be some large contracts signed, some hefty deals signed. I will certainly concede that possibility. I still think Joey Porter Jr.'s market value is going to stay right around that $20 million per season mark. And I think the Steelers can work with that, even with all these outside factors happening. So I agree with you a ton. Great depth. Joey Porter Jr. needs re-signed. I think if they wait until May, they're not going to lose out or cost themselves dearly. That is just my opinion right now.
How quickly do you turn, if you're the Steelers, okay, you're Omar Khan, you head into free agency, you have the mindset that you have, how quickly do you turn if that first deal is significantly larger than you think it's going to be?
Well, I mean, yeah, you have to do it almost the moment after it happens, right? Like say Nahshon Wright signs for $25 million per year, right? Like just throw out a number. I don't think the Steelers.
I don't think
Joey Porter
Jr.'s number.
Right, that's a lot of money. I don't think Joey Porter Jr. is automatically going to get that, but I do think it would quicken the pace with which he signs his extension. And again, like it doesn't change for me that $20 million is the benchmark here. I will be shocked if he goes above it. I will be shocked if he gets below it in terms of his average salary.
No, I agree. I think 20 million is where I sit as well. What makes me nervous is the $20 million jump and teams being dumb with their money, which always happens. You know what I mean? Last year was the Pittsburgh Steelers being dumb with their money, making trades and handing out all these nonsense contract extensions everywhere that just, the Dallas Cowboys sitting there going, you really handed TJ Watt $40 million. Are you kidding me? Did you really just do that? Do you know the pickle that just put us in? There's just no need for that. And again, it could happen. You also have to take in corner, but I agree. I think that $20 million mark is totally fine. And if they could keep it around $20 million in free agency, I think it's totally fine. I'm curious to see how it happens. I also have seen this, and, not to combat my own argument here, but I've seen this in the past where the safety market is ridiculous and everybody's going, these guys are going to sign for massive money. And then they sign for nothing. The Tyrann Mathieu going to New Orleans on like a 1-year, $7 million deal. And you're going, that's just nothing. You're paying this man literally nothing to go be your starting safety at the time he was in his prime. Like that's where we're at right now. Or that's where it ends up being sometimes. And I think that could benefit them, especially if the class is this deep. But again, it's the Nahshon Wright. It's the Greg Newsome, dude. It's those like the who's going to get whose agent just smoked everybody else and made this whole thing miserable for every NFL team. And Joey's a guy for me. Who's number 2 on your priority list to resign or to extend?
Oh, I mean, Nick Herbig for sure. And I think you just kind of deal with whatever pickle that puts you in terms of having a ton of money tied up in that one position. But I think, and you're strictly talking about people who are under contract heading into this season, right? Like
your next extension.
Yeah, like absolutely Nick Herbig, and it's not even quite close. You have decisions to make on Keanu.
I was going to say, who's number 3? Because that's the reasonable answer, but I think 3 gets a little bit trickier, maybe.
I think it's Keanu, right? Because this is going to be the final year of his rookie deal.
Yeah,
and he took a huge step, especially in his pass rushing. What kind of step does he take in year 4 here? And this is a very similar situation to Joey Porter, like you were mentioning a couple minutes ago. Do you sign him early because you can probably get him at a discount, and you also can keep him happy while he's secured for a few more years? That might be worth the risk, especially with this transitional period along the defensive line that the Steelers are somewhat in, but will enter further into over the next couple of years.
I agree with that. How close is Darnell Washington to you as that number 3?
Man, I don't think I think he's a very solid 4, because I think the Steelers are, if I'm guessing, I think the Steelers are hesitant to get another expensive deal done with the tight end.
Yeah, it can't be expensive.
It can't be expensive, but I think there is this really weird evaluation of Darnell Washington where the statistics do not quite add up with the value he brings, right? Because blocks, You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that does it carries a ton of value in the locker room, but like, how do you dictate that when it comes to offering him a contract? Do you then pay him like one of the higher paid tight ends? Do you evaluate him as more of a tackle sort of, that market? Like, how do you evaluate how much this player is worth? I think that's the big question with Darnell. And because it is so um, nebulous, it's so like
Yeah.
undetermined, I think you
End
have
of
to
the
let
day
the
right
season
there.
play out, see if he can be consistent in what he does in the passing game while bringing that consistent run blocking game. If that happens midway through the year, I know it's not the Steelers' way, but you have to be kicking around like, maybe we do lock him up, because he is much more valuable than just a one-trick pony in terms of being like a run blocker.
Yeah, that's what the only thing that makes me nervous about Darnell is I think you are at a sweet spot right now where you can sign him for really cheap. Like you could extend Darnell for 3 years for nothing.
Mhm.
And if he works out, you just got a massive steal. But if he goes into 26 and is a stud and looks great, and they get rid of Jonnu and it's Pat and Darnell, the tag team duo that just look dynamite all year long, you lost him. Like he's he's gonna go get a bag somewhere and somebody's gonna pay him. And to me, it's just like there. Honestly, I would kick the tires on Darnell right now. I would say if I was the Steelers, I'd toss something cheap his way. You know what I mean? Here's $6 million a year, for 3 years. Like, come on, let's get a deal done. Get rid of Jonnu, and then you have Pat and Darnell for the next 3 years. I mean, you can make decisions on there. I don't know if he'll say yes or no, truthfully. I have
Mhm.
no idea. Because if you're Darnell, I'd be betting on myself too. I'd be saying, look at dude, I was a stud last year before this bad boy just broke right in half. I could be a stud again. We can make that happen. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's talk NFL Combine before we hit the road here. Lots going on. For those of you who want the rundown, Omar Khan will talk tomorrow to a group of local media, and then obviously at the podium to everybody. We'll have all the insights going on there. Wednesday through Saturday are all the player interviews. We'll be there Wednesday through Friday. Friday is the big one. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, the big trio for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got defensive tackles, corners, the whole nine. You're going to the combine. What are the two things you're looking for, whether that's in terms of players looking good, people that the Steelers have spoken to, insight that you're going to get from just talking to scouts and personnel and other things? What are the two things you got your eyes on down in Indy?
Yeah, first and foremost is just how good are these safeties, in all of the testing, right?
Yeah.
There's this general consensus, I think, that has been reached, that there are 4, 5, guys who are legitimate starting safety options in this NFL draft, and I want to see just how impressive they are in person. And I think that will be a huge hint as to how much interest the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking. And speaking of, hints, this won't be as much of a hint, but the other thing I'm looking forward to is, what quarterbacks do the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers show any interest in, if
Yes.
any? I anticipate it being some late round guys, some players like a Cole Payton out of North Dakota, some guys like Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor, like some of those guys who were, back end of the draft options. But
Mm-hmm.
is there any interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'm excited to keep an eye out for that, keep my ear to the ground, and kind of see what I can figure out. What are your top two that you're looking forward to this year?
Quarterbacks, I think, are on there, but I got others as well. The quarterbacks is a good one. I'm very excited to see who they're talking to. It's the first glimpse into, how real things are. You meet with, but also at the same time, you got to take it as a, grain of salt. They don't meet with Ty Simpson, doesn't mean that they're not in on Ty Simpson. You know what I
Right.
mean? It just means that they are focusing their attention at the combine in a certain way, but I am very curious to see what quarterbacks they spend that time with, because a lot of times, just like you said, kid from North Dakota, Sawyer Robertson, like those guys they're not top 30 visits, like you're not bringing that guy in, but you could avoid meeting with the Ty Simpson because you're going to bring him in for a pre-draft visit. Where's that line? How deep are they looking? I agree with you as well. My two are somewhat similar. The first one's wide receiver. How wide is their net? Are they looking strictly first round? Are they meeting with Carnell Tate? Like, are they out here going with the biggest of the big, or are they going, okay, we're going to, we are really going to stretch this thing out, and we are going to find all of the wide receiver options that we possibly can while we're out here? How wide is that net for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I truthfully expect it to not be as wide as we think it is. I think a lot of people are saying double, triple dip in the NFL draft. I would not be surprised if the Pittsburgh Steelers spent their time at the combine meeting with the big 6, 7 guys and then move on and go to a different position. I think a lot of it comes down to who they're going to draft early, and we are going to get those names. You know what I mean? Are they meeting with Mekhi Lemon? Are they meeting with Denzel? You got to remember, dude, Juju Smith-Schuster didn't meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers one time, not one time through the NFL draft process, but they drafted him second round out of nowhere. I'm very curious to see what that net looks like. I expect it to not be as wide as we anticipate. Number 2 to me are it's not necessarily what is being answered by the players, but more so what you're hearing. You always hear something that sounds nuts that turns out to be true. Always. Let's bring it back a couple of years here. 2, to be exact. When I spent the entire week in Indianapolis trying to convince everyone in the world that the Justin Fields conversation was real, no matter how insane it sounded at the time, because all I heard the whole week was Justin Fields is a real possibility, dude. Justin Fields is a real possibility. And I was like, there's no chance that Justin Fields is a real possibility. But all I do is tell people what I hear. Justin Fields ends up being true. These things happen constantly. Kenny Pickett, a couple years before that, you heard the whole week, dude, they're not as in on Malik Willis as you think. They're not as Kenny Pickett didn't come up, but the whole week, they're not as in on Malik Willis as you think they are. Okay, yeah, whatever, bro. I saw him talking to his mom, clear as day. Okay, they're drafting him. Not the truth. What happens this year? What's the crazy storyline that pops up that me and you look at each other and go, that's going to happen, isn't it? That shouldn't happen, but that's going to happen. I'm curious to see what it is, because truthfully, I have no idea. And I have a weird feeling that it's going to be a quarterback somewhere in there. That's going to be the conversation. But those are my 2 things.
I love it. I'm a glutton for gossip. You know what I mean? So this is really the converging of this in so many ways this week. So I am pumped to sort of sift through it. What's the BS? What's the realities coming to pass and coming to fruition here? So man, I'm pumped. It's going to be a very exciting few days.
Very exciting few days. Lots of great food, lots of good people, lots of exciting times. Football is back, baby. We got the 6-hour drive, and we will be right back in it. I'm so excited for it. Shout out to the snow that is still coming down, pissing down here in the city of Pittsburgh. Good times, my friend. That's all right. All right, gal. That's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we'll start answering your questions, so toss them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Once again, thank you all for jumping on a little early with us today as we embark down. You don't know much about indie food, dude. So you won't even know. I was going to ask what's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to eating down there? Because it is, dude. It's a different world. You got Midwest barbecue, but you're close enough to Chicago that you got deep dish pizza. That's real. It's just
crazy.
It's so awesome. Indianapolis is hands down the most underrated city I have ever been to, without question. NFL Combine should never leave. I wouldn't want to live there, but to go visit it, every year, it's one of the best weeks. I look forward to it all the time. Shout out to Shout out
Hell
to good
yeah.
old Indianapolis, baby. Home of the Bears soon. Very soon. Let's kick it off with ingredients to the hot dog. Oh, dude, shout out my God.
You know, I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like it.
Man, right here. Do you guys think it's realistic to get Jalen Waddle? If so, do you think we still pick a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds? Yes or no? I would give up a third. And Roman, you're going to have to give up way more than a third for Jalen Waddle. He is a first round value. Even in a loaded wide receiver class, he's a proven commodity. I mean, go back to the Kenny Pickett draft. Let's name the wide receivers, the big ones that were drafted in that draft. George Pickens, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. The names added up. You want to know who also got traded for first round picks? Marquise Brown, AJ Brown. Like yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wide receiver value is always way more than you think it's going to be. Jalen Waddle's a first round guy. You trade him for a first round, nothing less. What?
You know what's crazy about the 2022 NFL draft?
What do you mean? What's crazy about the 2022 NFL draft?
Yeah, the craziest thing about it, totally unrelated from the wide receivers, is that the Jacksonville Jaguars did not take Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, true. Shout out Tavion Walker.
I was gonna say, can you name who went number 1 overall? Because it's less impressive.
I could. Yeah, significantly less impressive. Significant. And it was like there was no question going into that draft until the draft happened. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars convinced themselves that was going to be the case. Go ahead.
The next 3 picks after number 1, Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stingley Jr., and a little cornerback named Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Swing and a miss, Jacksonville. Swing and a miss.
Shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, Duval.
Jahan Dawson, also a first round pick in that.
Yeah,
class.
He was.
Jameson
but at
Williams,
the time, he was a
first round
stud.
Pick.
Yeah.
Drake London.
Drake London was a first round. He was a top 10, top 15 pick or something like that.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
He was up there. Yeah.
He was 8th overall in Atlanta that year.
Yeah.
So you don't think a third and
no,
Roman
I don't think it
even touches it, right? So what would be, I guess, a better, more realistic offer that could get the job done? Do you have one in mind?
Second and a future second. 2 second-round picks. Second and a third, maybe. I think he's a first-round value. I don't think the Dolphins would part ways with him without a first-round value, but I think you could have that conversation and push it into a second with added juice. But I don't think I'd be willing to give it up. I think there are way too many options right now. I think that's where the Dolphins are going to stand with this.
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I guess on one hand, I am anticipating that the Dolphins are trying to move on from a lot of these contracts. So maybe they are a little more willing to take below value. Yeah, he does. He makes what, like 17
million bucks a year. It's like, it's ridiculous how big of a steal Jalen Waddle is.
And that kind of leads me into like the second point I wanted to make about this question. Because even if you are to get a Jalen Waddle or a Jalen Waddle type player, like that level of production, I don't think it eliminates the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting a wide receiver in the first couple of rounds.
No,
there still is insufficient depth at the wide receiver position. Like you still, even if you add Jalen Waddle, that means you now have 4 receivers under contract. One of them is a special teams player primarily. And one of those, the other player who's not Jalen Waddle or DK Metcalf, has yet to earn the trust of any coaching staff at the NFL level. So you still would need another playmaker, a number 3 wide receiver, and a legitimate one at that. So bring in Jalen Waddle if you can get him for the right value, but then also don't be afraid to get Denzel Boston in round 1 or Mekhi Lemon or, one of these other top guys in round 2 or 3.
No, I agree. I think the Steelers are going to take 2 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds. I think if they don't trade some of their third round picks, they get 2 in the first 3 rounds. And if they traded for Jalen Waddle, they remain the same. They would still look at it and say, this is the offseason to finish our wide receiver position. That's what we're going to go after. I hope they get Jalen Waddle. I don't know how realistic it is today. Pittsburgh, but again, that's something we're going to find out down there, which I'm so excited to find out. Pittsburgh Hornets, what are the top 3 names you think the Steelers could acquire during free agency for a cheap, mid, and big bag? Oh, one for each would be a good experiment here. Let's go through them.
I think is like D-line.
I was going to say Chris Tonga is a great option for a 29-year-old cheap option. He's not going to take, what's he going to sign for? $2 million bucks. You know what I mean? And
I can
then
see him signing for 5, but I think that range is acceptable.
yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. And like either way, that's a great addition to the Steelers defensive line that adds value immediately and a veteran presence. I think honestly, he's like a name to watch for the Steelers. Because it just makes a lot of sense.
So
But
much sense.
he would be one for sure. For sure.
For sure. Mid is my man Cordell Flott considered a mid contract here, or do you think he's getting the big bag? I think he's
No,
going to
I
make
think he
about
gets-
$10 to $12 million, and I'm considering him a mid guy because of that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
tell
think
you
that's
what,
a good.
you watch his highlights from this breakout season he had in 2025. You'll be okay with it too. This guy,
I agree.
think he's 6'2", I want to say, but he's physical, he's aggressive. He had double-digit passes defended. He had a couple interceptions. This was a playmaker on the ball, and I think he would match up very well as a complimentary number 2 to Joey Porter Jr. So I'll throw him out there. Big
like
bag. Do you go tackle? Is it the Rasheed Walker? At
It could be
offensive
Rasheed
tackle? Is it
Walker.
David Edwards at guard? You know what I
was
mean?
gonna
Like
say, it
you
could
go
be a
get the
guard.
veteran.
Let me toss another one out here. Jaquan Brisker.
I could see the safety being a big deal. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's the same price as a flop, but it's not, the value is different. You know what I mean? Why safeties don't make $15-16 million a year. They make 10. I could see safety. I think tackle is certainly up there. I think guard is up there. I'm starting to kind of move away from Isaac Seumalo coming back. I don't know why. It just kind of feels like that's where the direction that everybody's headed in. I could see that. I'll toss another guard out there that is expected to get released according to Bill Huber of Packers on SI. Elgton, Elgton. Couldn't tell you. Jenkins, he played center for the Packers this past season, used to be a teammate of Aaron Rodgers back in 2019. He's 30 years old. They're going to cut him. He's supposed to be the highest paid center this season. Broke his leg last year. Not going to happen. He's played all 5 positions. Most of his time in the NFL has been spent at guard. He just bounces around wherever they need him, and he's ridiculous wherever he goes. He's a name that I don't think is going to be super cheap, but I don't think he's going to be super expensive. At guard, I could see that. I could see Aaron being like, go get that guy. You got 3 years with them. Go get him. You don't have to worry about your guard position anymore for at least the next 3 years.
It's crazy how many snaps he's played at different positions.
It's nuts. He's played a new position almost every single year of his career.
Left guard, left tackle, right tackle, center, left guard.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Anticipated to be released. I could see him being a name. I don't know if I'd put him in mid or big. But I think guard, tackle, safety is the big one. I think corner is the mid round, because I think you could even get like Greg Newsome for a mid round bag. You know what I mean? Like any of those guys. And then cheap, I think you're right. Defensive tackle. Another sleeper position though to get the bag. Inside linebacker.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, if it's in a Kobe Dean type of player, like we're talking the big contracts. If we're talking a Leo Chanel, maybe you get him on that less expensive deal, but it'll feel like a big one because you know that he's coming in here to be a starter. Very similar to like the Jaquan Brisker safety conversations. Like if they go out and spend that money, it might not be the most expensive deal they made in free agency, but it's like, whoa, they're bringing in some new starters. This defense might improve, God forbid.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would think? Uncle Loon, outside of Rodgers, rank your quarterback options 1 through 5. Great question here.
Wow. 5 is, do we have to consider Mason Rudolph as one of these options?
No.
Okay.
No. Top 5 options that could be out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 5 for me is probably Ty Simpson. I would say Ty Simpson's
I don't even think he's going to make my list. My number 5 was going to be Joe Flacco.
Oh, Joe Flacco's no chance. Chance he's on my list. Disgusting name. Disgusting. Number
Would you
4,
rather have Ty Simpson or Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco, I guess. You know what I mean?
Is
Because
that an awful?
of the circumstance. Like, yeah, I don't know. But I'll tell you this. You want me to predict what I think we hear the most at the NFL Combine? Ty Simpson's a lot better than his play says. I guarantee you that everybody's talking up Ty Simpson at the end. I guarantee it, dude. Guarantee that is all we hear down in Indianapolis. Guarantee.
Okay. Yeah, he's not even on my top 5 list.
No. Number 4 for me. Oh man, who are the free agents? I don't think Malik Willis is 4. I think he's 3.
Yeah, he's 3. 4 for me is Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, that's another one.
I'm not. Like,
I think I'll go Joe on mine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go Joe Flacco for 4 for mine. Number 3, I think, is Malik Willis for me.
Agreed. Number 2 is Joe Milton.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hell yeah. Sure. Let that boy sling it.
That's a good
number 1 for me would be Will Howard.
Yeah, number 1's Will Howard for me too. Number 2 for me would be Mac Jones. Reasonable trade to not have to give up anything long term. So we'll see. Great question though. Great question for sure. Ingredients to the hot dog. Who would be a realistic option to trade Peter Skoronski? It's Skoronik, I think. No, Skoronik is Ben Skoronik, my bad. Or Jackson Powers Johnson is what I was trying to say. Got it. I don't think Skoronski is available. Just from talking to people in Tennessee throughout the season, surprisingly no people in Tennessee. Jackson Powers Johnson, I would trade for easy. And I don't think his value is going to be super high, but I would trade for Jackson Powers Johnson.
I think that's a great use of one of your 12 draft picks. You know, you send one of your fifths over to Las Vegas and get him for sure. If there's anyone else that you could just is there anyone else you could just swap real quick for him? I don't know. But yeah, I would use one of those draft picks, one of those later round draft picks, get Jackson Powers Johnson. You can plug him in at guard and see what he does.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Nate Moore, if we get to 21 and the top 3 wide receivers, Downs, Ione, all gone, what's the move? Oh,
Denzel Boston?
Yeah, Denzel Boston would, I guess, be wide receiver 4. Denzel Boston is the easy answer. If not, I'd look at the tackle positions.
I was gonna say, let's eliminate the top 4 because I think that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, I'd be looking tackles. I'd be looking offensive tackles. I'd be looking corners, but I'm not super sold on the corners that early in this draft. I just don't think that they're there. I'd be looking safeties. You know what I mean? What safeties are still available? Although Mel Kiper Jr. ranked Kyle Lewis as his 3rd best safety the other day.
Oh.
Safety. Yeah.
He's athletic.
He is.
Let's see what group he's with at the combine.
Yeah, he's going to be playing with linebackers, and they're going to make him do safety drills because that's what happens. I'd be looking safety. I'd be looking tackle. I think those would be and then anybody that fell. But if we're just assuming nobody fell, I think tackle and safety would be the 2 spots I would expect the next best value to be at.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I'll also just add defensive tackle to that. I think that if all that is gone, sorry. I'm looking hard at, has Caden McDonald been selected? Has Peter Woods from Clemson been selected? Like, are there guys available that not even have fallen, but just can help bolster that defensive front? I've maintained for a long time that I think it is maybe a bigger need than is being talked about at this point of the offseason, but I think you could add a dynamic playmaker on the defensive line if you can't get one of those top receivers, a guard like Ione or Caleb Downs, who's just a transformative playmaker.
Yeah, ridiculous. Wu-Tang Steeler. If Minka Fitzpatrick gets released, can you see the Steelers signing him back? For sure. However, I don't know if he'd want to come back. Mike Tomlin's not here. Different defense. Maybe. But I don't think it'd be as guaranteed as it would if Mike T was still here. You traded him away, which is just weird to do. I would say there's a possibility. I think the Steelers would at least make a phone call. I don't know how open Mink would be to coming back to Pittsburgh, though.
I don't think he would be, and I am purely guessing. He obviously has a great relationship with his teammates, right? And the guys that he played with in Pittsburgh. That was very evident whenever they played the Dolphins this past season. But I don't know why he would want to return to Pittsburgh. I think he would probably just want to try a new opportunity somewhere else, maybe go somewhere he thinks he could latch on to a Super Bowl contender, which, as much as we want to say Pittsburgh is that place, I think there's better options.
Kansas City calls, Seattle calls. They need a safety. Brian Cook just left. You know what I mean? Or Kobe Bryant just left. You know what I mean? Go.
Yeah.
There are options.
Kansas City Chiefs is who's going to lose Brian Cook. So
yep. That's what I'm saying. I
wouldn't hate going there once they draft Jeremiah Love in the first round too. Pat Mahomes comes back
healthy. Travis Kelce comes back. You get Taylor Swift's homemade Pop-Tarts. It just feels like the Steelers have who are they competing with? Who's their fit? We don't even know the quarterback's wife. We don't even, we don't know anything over here. We don't know anything. I would say the Steelers make a phone call. I can't envision them actually landing Mink. I think he'd want to go elsewhere. Shout out to Michael Thomas becoming Michael Latham. My guy. My bad. Becoming our newest YouTube member. Make sure to call into the call-in show on Wednesday. Should have it up Wednesday morning. That's the game plan. Pittsburgh Hornets. How many chats do you think, just to draw eyes away from people they are actually looking at for some draft deception? Usually none at the NFL Combine. They will ignore guys that they are interested in at the NFL Combine, but anybody they meet with, they probably have genuine interest in. You only have a select number of times that you can meet, or a select number of people that you can have official meetings with at the NFL Combine. You're going to want to utilize those. And most times they're deeper than just the top guys. Most times it's those first to fourth or fifth round options that you're meeting with, and you're not really pulling anybody away. It's the people that you don't meet with that I think they use as like Kenny, dude. They didn't meet with Kenny at the Combine, which is stupid to me. It's crazy to me, but you know what I mean? That's what happens when you draft a quarterback that you don't spend any time evaluating and then draft in the first round. You know what I mean? He's gone in 2 years. So shout out to Kenny Pickett. I would expect the guys that they aren't talking to, that's the tell right there. Uncle Loon, what day is the owner meeting with Rooney? Owners will meet together. I don't know if they do at the Combine. They might at the Combine.
No clue.
But we won't meet with Rooney at the Combine. That doesn't happen in Indy. We meet with Omar, and then a couple of us will meet with McCarthy as like an off the record thing. But that's about it. And then at the owners meetings in March, that's when we'll meet with Rooney. Uncle Loon again, who's the best first rounder the Steelers have selected in the last 5 years? All right, who are those first rounders? You got to go back.
Harmon.
Years, huh?
Harmon,
Steelers.
Fautanu, Broderick, Kenny.
Yikes. Kenny Pickett.
Who am I missing?
For sure. All right, here, I'm pulling it up.
25, 24.
All right, we got
23.
Derek Harmon, Troy Fautanu, Broderick, Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris.
Fautanu.
Troy Fautanu's 1. Derek's 2.
Yep.
Najee's 3. Kenny's 4. No, Broderick's 4. Kenny's 5.
Kenny won a championship.
Bro.
He's got to be 4. He's got to be 4. Broderick can't even start.
There's no chance 13-13 touchdown to interception ratio is worse than what Broderick Jones has done for the Steelers. He's not good, don't get me wrong, but Kenny Pickett, man.
Let me just check something. Let me check something real quick. How many championships Broderick Jones had?
He's his fault. He's only played for the Steelers. You know what I mean? I will say that. You want to talk that, dude. Kenny at least got you a third. So shout
Yeah, Kenny Littlehands over here. He got you third, won a championship. It's Troy Fautanu by a considerable margin until Derek
Landslide.
Harmon becomes the All Pro that he's going to.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think Troy's an All Pro at the same time. Or Derek Harmon is. So I think both of those guys are two of the best pieces the Steelers have on their roster. Michael, let's play GM. Trade one superstar away for another superstar. Cut a surprise name and extend a player. A surprise name's tough. Is Patrick Queen a surprise
name? Oh, I'll grant it.
I would cut
I think it's
PQ.
fine.
I would trade Jalen Ramsey for. I'd trade Jalen Ramsey for Brian Thomas Jr.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Right? I think that's honestly like not a terrible, like you're not trading Jalen for CeeDee Lamb.
I'd try.
I would try. It's not happening. But if the Jaguars are looking at it going, bring Jalen back, have him work with Travis Hunter, could play anywhere on the defense. They're already trying to get rid of Brian Thomas Jr. I might have talked myself into that one.
Might have talked myself into that one. Would Jalen Ramsey be considered a surprise cut candidate?
Yeah, I think he'd be way more surprising than PQ.
Be very costly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think
Super
that would be
ridiculously costly. Ridiculously costly.
I think that's who I would trade. I would trade TJ Watt for a superstar wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb or something like that.
Whoa.
Maybe change up how that expensive money is getting doled out. Extend a player, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, easy without question. Without question. I was told PQ is not a surprise. I'll take Jalen's a good one. Crazy one. It's so good.
Because they just can't do it. Like they just literally like it would be such poor business practice if they were to cut him.
Yeah. It'd be just disgusting. All right, keeping it trucking here. A Brink. Where is KG on the list of free agents to bring back for the Steelers? One. Yeah. One.
well timed.
Yeah. I don't know anybody like the other names I would consider are Kyle Duggar, Asante Samuel Jr. I think I'd bring back James Pierre, especially knowing how deep the cornerback market is. Like, I think 3 months ago we were like, James Pierre's going to get back. I think today I'm like, you can't even find his name on the list. I think they'd be options, but I don't think there's anybody really big for the Steelers outside of KG. I'm not bringing Calvin back, unfortunately. That would be those
Isaac
would be the names.
Is
Isaac
the other
maybe
name to consider?
Yeah, but I think you could go a different. I don't think you're bringing back the 33-year-old guard. I think you go a different direction.
Yeah,
and just
I think
feel good about it.
I just don't as good as Isaac Seumalo was last year. I think that you would be paying him for what he did rather than what you think you're going to get out of him in 2026 and maybe beyond. And I think you just have to if you're going to pay out big money, I think it has to be for, beyond just the immediate season coming up. It has to be sort of a long-term approach. So I am totally in on that. I think KG is the obvious number one.
Yeah.
And behind that, I don't think there's a lot of great options. James Pierre is probably my number two.
Yeah. Pierre, Duggar, give me a depth guy. Give me a depth guy for sure. Mason, first time catching live forever, my guy. Let's grab a beer while in Indianapolis. I do want to give a shout out. First off, Mason, hope it's warm there because it's cold and gross here. Anybody who sees us in Indy, come up, say what's good. We'll be moving all over the place at all times. It is nonstop fun and work, and it's a good time, man, for 6 days. So anybody sees us, make sure, please come up, say what's good, introduce yourself. I love meeting you guys, and it's a good opportunity too. So Mason, you catch us out, you let us know for sure. Zard, who do you think our quarterback will be? Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron, I don't know his last name or middle name, but I want to make up a good one for him. Aaron. What's a good one? I'll think about it. We'll bring it back tomorrow. We'll bring it back. I'll think about it. Everybody wait. Don't say another word till I think of something. No, let's just be silent for a minute.
For everybody being on the audio, I apologize.
All right,
JP, do we know if McCarthy will do camp in a dorm setting at Latrobe as we have in the past? My understanding is a lot of teams don't anymore. Most teams don't. Steelers are certainly going to. That's a tradition. I mean, the field is named after the Rooneys, so you're not like you're going up there. They welcome it. It's a whole thing. The Steelers love it. Honestly, the players love it. Like, it's very rare that you hear a guy being like, this sucked. You know, most of the time it's like, I can't believe I'm sleeping on a child's bed. But besides that, this is a great time. You know, like it's just weeks of hanging out with the boys and they cook for you and the whole, and you can't leave, but like you could leave. You know what I mean? If TJ Watt wants to go get some sheets, he's going to sheets. You know what I mean? Like it's happening. So yes, I do fully anticipate that to continue. And then we're going to finish it off here with Michael. If y'all had to choose one to bring back, Chase Claypool or Kendrick Green, is Kendrick Green still in the league? Is that still?
While you look that up, I'll give you my answer. It's Cordero Patterson, and it's not even quite close. I think you get a veteran leader back. You get a do-it-all guy.
You do.
Even in his last season with the Steelers, he clearly still had it. And I think it would be him. If I had to choose between the two, I guess I would take
Chase Claypool.
I would take Kendrick Green.
What?
Yeah.
Where are you playing him?
Fullback.
Fullback? You put him in fullback?
He was meant to be.
I've got Kendrick Green stories that I can only tell you off camera, but just know, guy was funny. I liked Kendrick. He was a good dude. Chase is the only answer that makes sense. Shout out to fullback.
They need depth?
Because he's still capable of playing football. That's why. I don't know if Kendrick ever was. I don't know what was going on there, but I don't think that was possible. Although, shout out, this boy played one game with the Cleveland Browns last year and played 17 the year before that in Houston. So that's a guy right there.
Stud to me.
That's a guy right there. Shout out. Kendrick Green was the man, dude. He was a funny guy. He was a funny guy for sure. All right, y'all. With that said, we're hitting the road. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Appreciate you guys jumping on early once again as we hit the road to go to Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. We'll be back to regular schedule starting tomorrow live from Indianapolis. So excited to be there. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. You're going to want to bookmark si.com/NFL/Steelers this week because we will have so much going on with the NFL Combine and everything we hear down in Indianapolis. We'll bring you all the updates. Excited to. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.